Here they come. Look, oh, this is just like people are just streaming in. Oh, I got it on 2 pages here. Okay. Hi, Amy. Look at this. Donna. Oh, Phyllis. All right. Dorianne. All right. Look at this. Ellen, Miriam. Panina, what are you doing, Panina? Where are you going? She's getting ready. Here she comes. There you go. Good. Mina, how's it going?
Great. How are you?
Fabulous. Wonderful. Fantastic. All right. So this is, oh, here's Jeff. Okay. Here comes Jeff.
We can start now.
Exactly. And we can start now. Jeff is here. We can start now. Oh, this is fabulous. Jeff is here.
Love your haircut, Rabbi. Did
I cut my hair? Might have. I think maybe it just looks different against the background because since my daughter is on spring break, my wife is teaching in person now, and my son is teaching in person now. They let me back in the house, everybody. Isn't that nice?
Oh, nice.
I'm not in the garage anymore. They let me back in the house. That is until they get home and then they banish me again. But that's okay. That's okay. They can do that. It's all right. All right. So we're just gonna get started because we have a lot to talk about today. Laura, are you really taking notes?
I always take notes.
Wow. That's impressive.
I always take notes too. I have notebooks full since the beginning of the pandemic.
Oh,
I'm on my 4th legal pad.
Oh my goodness.
I'm on my 4th or 5th notebook.
That's impressive.
I concentrate better.
Well, if you see Roy's background, all of those books are all the notes that he's taken over this last year. So you have a lot to get caught up on.
He reads
Anyway,
a book an hour.
Can't read your T-shirt, Rabbi. What does your T-shirt say?
Matzah, challah, rugelach.
Rabbi,
wonderful. I love it.
we just put the whitefish terrine in the oven that we got from the cooking class last week.
Oh, that's great.
It looks fabulous.
I can smell.
I'll take your word for it. All right, we've got a lot to talk about today. We have a lot to talk about today. So who can tell me what holiday's coming up? Who could tell me?
Passover.
Passover. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Yes, everybody gets an A. But now here's the next question. What are we celebrating? Just on one foot, what are we celebrating?
Freedom.
Okay, freedom. So that means if we're celebrating freedom, why are we celebrating freedom? What happened before that?
Exodus from slavery.
Exodus from slavery. Okay. But here's the question. Okay, here's the question. How did we get there in the first place? What were we doing there? Why were we even there? Right? That's the question. Why were we even there? We're celebrating. We're celebrating Passover, and we're doing all these things, and we're celebrating our freedom from slavery, hundreds of years of slavery, of real oppression, and now we're on our way to the promised land. Finally, thank God, freedom. But how did we get there in the first place?
Escaping a famine from Canaan.
Wait, let's see. Okay, we have.
Go ahead.
I always thought it was the time of Yosef, and then there was famine, and then and where Jacob and his ganze mishpacha was living, and therefore they came to Egypt because of Joseph's brilliant predictions, had food, and the other countries had famine. Then more and more Jews came. That's what I understood, and there could be another reason. Reason.
Well, if we're looking at it from above, yes, and what's interesting, this is not a negative statement. It's a passive way of looking at it. Yes, we're going to jump back because we're going to look at a couple things here today. Ha ha! Yaakov Greenberg. There he is. The question on the table, Jacob, is how did we get there in the first place? What were we even doing in Egypt? We're celebrating our freedom. We're celebrating slavery. We're celebrating how did we get there in the first place? We're going to go through some text. Yes, Jeff.
The answer is that God foretold that they would end up in Egypt for 200 years to the patriarchs to begin with. And basically, it's a fulfillment of God's prophecy. The question is, why would God subject his people to that punishment?
Well, that's not the question. Yes, that's the question, but that's not the question we're going to discuss. Because again, when you said it's prophecy, but let's look, we got to take a look at, there's some responsibility that different parties here have to take for themselves. And we're going to check this out. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Get ready. I'm going to share my screen and we are going to read some text starting in the mid or towards the end of the Joseph story, right? Just to catch everybody up, right? Joseph, his brothers, they're living in Canaan. His brothers were very jealous of him and he was not very nice to his brothers with the fancy coat and everything. They threw him in a hole. The brothers threw him in a hole and then they sent him away. They sold him away to Egypt because they're like, all right, we threw him in a hole. Now what are we going to do? So then they decide, you know what? Let's get rid of him. We don't have to kill him. Let's just get rid of him. We'll send him away to Egypt. Goes to Egypt. He's like, nah, what's happening? It's terrible. Why are you doing this to me? And while he was there, he works for this guy named Potiphar. Potiphar was one of the dudes in charge of Pharaoh's house. He starts working for Potiphar and everything's actually going pretty well for him. You know, everybody enjoys Joseph's company. Everybody enjoyed Joseph's company. Everybody wanted to enjoy Joseph's company, including Potiphar's wife. Oh, right? And Potiphar's wife's like, hey, Joseph, you want to come over to my house for a play date? Joseph's like, nah, no play date over here. I'm hanging out with your husband's been really great to me. I got stuff to do. I don't want to cause any trouble. And she is really upset at these. Like, what you mean you don't want to come over to my house for a play date? No, Joseph, I'm going to spread some lies about you. She goes to spread some lies about Joseph to her husband, being like, Potiphar, you're not going to believe this so-called friend of yours, Joseph. He's talking smack. He's talking about like, yeah, I'm only trying to be your friend because I'm going to try and take your job one day. Potiphar's like, I don't know about this guy. And when they talk to Joseph about it, Joseph's like, I don't know what she's talking about. She's lying. And then she's like, oh, how dare you call me a liar, right? We're going to throw you in jail. And Potiphar is like, dude, happy wife, happy life. I'm going to listen to what she says. Right? Whether or not you did it or not, it's not my problem. Go to jail. And Joseph's like, no, I'm in jail. And he's really upset. But things are okay in there. He's like making friends. And it turns out he knows how to tell people what their dreams mean. He's able to interpret dreams. There was a baker and a butler who used to work for Pharaoh, and they were having these crazy dreams. He told them what their dreams meant, came true. They left, right? And Joseph's like, tell Pharaoh about me. Maybe he could use somebody like me. And they're like, yeah, no problem. And then they forget. They forget to tell Pharaoh about Joseph. And Joseph's like, oh man, why is all this stuff happening to me? Then Pharaoh has these cuckoo dreams. This is where we pick up. Pharaoh has these crazy dreams. He doesn't know what they mean. One of the guys who was in jail is like, oh man, we forgot to tell you about this friend of ours named Joseph. He knows how to tell people what their dreams mean. Pharaoh's like, really? Go get that guy out of jail. I'm having these crazy dreams. I need your help. I need his help to figure this out. And that is where we're going to pick up and get ready. Okay, so this is going to be nuts here. This is going to be nuts. All right, can you see this? What do you see? Somebody tell me what they see here.
But how did we get here?
How did we get here? Great. Thank you, Jeff. All right. I just want to expand this so I can see more of you. And make sure if you have questions as we go through that you raise your hands. So I don't want to miss any of your fabulous, fabulous questions. All right. So I'm good because since we have a lot to cover, I'm going to read and then I'm going to jump back to you guys with some questions. Okay. So here we are. Pharaoh has these dreams. What did we say coming into this? It was prophesied that there was famine. We all said there was a famine. So they had to come to Egypt to get food. Okay, every party here has some responsibility in what happened to us. Here it is. And Joseph said to Pharaoh, Pharaoh's dreams are one and the same. both because he had two different dreams, right? And we'll do this. God has told Pharaoh what he is about to do. He meaning God. God has told Pharaoh what he is about to do, meaning that God is about to do something. The 7 healthy cows are 7 years, and the 7 healthy ears are 7 years. It is the same dream. The 7 lean and ugly cows that follow are 7 years, as are also the 7 empty ears scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, good, Harold. You're good. Fabulous. It is just as I have told Pharaoh. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do, meaning God is about to make a famine. God is putting things in motion. God is about to make a famine. It wasn't just that there happened to be a famine, right? This is part of the plan all along. God is creating all of this mishugash. God is creating this cuckoo-ness here. It is just as I have told Pharaoh. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. Immediately ahead are 7 years of great abundance in all of Egypt. After them will come 7 years of famine, and all the abundance in the land of Egypt will be forgotten. As the land is ravaged by famine, no trace of the abundance will be left in the land because of the famine thereafter, for it will be very severe. As for Pharaoh having had the same dream twice, get ready for this. It means that the matter has been determined by God and that God will soon carry it out. Now, this is interesting. So it's not that there just happened to be a famine or that there was a famine, right? God is setting up the stage for this to happen, right? God is setting up the stage for this to happen. God is creating the scenario where the Israelites will become slaves. So it's not just a matter of circumstance, but it's a matter of manipulation, right? It's a matter of manipulation. Now, check out what happens next. Okay. Joseph has now been in Egypt for many years, right? He came as a young teen and now he is much older. He's like in his 30s, okay? And over this time, he gets married and he has some children. He names his children two separate names, which we're going to look at the translations of their names or what it says here in the translation. And I want us to discuss, what does this say about Joseph's development as an adult? Okay, what does this say about Joseph's development as an adult? Before the years of famine came, Joseph became the father of 2 sons, whom Asenath, daughter of Potiphera, priest of On, bore to him. Joseph named the first Manasseh, meaning, get ready for this, God has made me forget completely my hardship and my parental home. He named his child Manasseh, which means God has made me forget completely my hardship and my parental home. And the second he named Ephraim, meaning God has made me fertile in the land of my affliction. God has made me fertile in the land of my affliction. Okay, what does this say, based on what Joseph names his kids, what does this say about what Joseph thinks about his current adult life? Jacob.
Means he's choosing to have a positive context.
That was very nice of you. That's a very positive context answer of you. It means he's trying to have a positive. What makes you think that? How is this positive?
I mean, he's putting in his kids, I have a shitty family, and something else, this sucks. But he named it, he thoughtfully named his kids in a more positive fashion.
Well, I think, didn't he thoughtfully his first, but not his second?
Wait, who's speaking? Who's speaking?
Oh, it's Amy. Sorry.
Amy, go. Say, I didn't hear what you said.
Well, because the first one is, God made me forget my hardship and my parental land. So he's forgotten the bad. The first one is like a positive name. But the second one is God has made me fertile in the land of my affliction. So now something has changed between the first and the second, right?
Yes, but how is it positive
forward
to forget where you come from?
Is it forgetting where you
forget
came
your paternal home?
Is it forgetting where you came or moving on from where you came from to whatever is going to happen next?
It says, made me
That's the positiveness
completely.
that Jacob was talking about.
Forget completely my hardship and my parental home. What hardship? He was a spoiled brat. Hardship.
But is that always so good?
No.
Maybe he.
And God has made me fertile in the land of my affliction. I am in the. What is this land of affliction? How is he so afflicted?
Well, isn't he in prison?
Go.
This was past tense discussion, basically.
Nina, go.
Okay. It's all about being prepared.
Settle in, everybody. She's like, okay, here we go.
So he was so smart that then the dreams told them about what to expect and be prepared for it. Now the people all over the county over there, or the whole section over there in the Middle East, depended at those times not on the wheat necessarily, especially not in Israel. They didn't realize that to be prepared for famine is to store ahead. And you see that the family met again when there was another famine and they came down to Egypt for the wheat. So he knew to be prepared. And the wheat was the source that they needed. And that would be something that they should have thought ahead of time, and they did. So he was in charge of it, and he was in charge of the distribution. And the fact that he came back to Israel after all these years of being in Egypt, the first thing that God or Joshua told them, that God told them to do is plant a tree, become a farmer, not depend on only on the cattle or on the sheep that they were raising or tending to. They needed the fruit of the earth. You don't have to go to Egypt anymore to get it. You can do your own. Get it ready. Plant it. Work at it. And that's what the whole thing started. He was in charge of the wheat. That's what was important at that time.
You're very kind.
To look ahead and to prepare everybody. Yeah. And that was the key to this whole development of the meeting, of everything.
Hold on a second. All of you are too kind. You guys are so kind. Just hold on. Everybody needs to just hold on. We're getting somewhere. Thank you, Pnina. Jeff.
You know, I have a little different view of Joseph to begin with. Ultimately, over the 7 years of famine, as he manipulates the entire population, he takes their money, he takes their land, he takes their independence, and he creates an entire indentured population throughout Egypt and the Israelites. And in essence, does the good outweigh the ultimate bad that he's created? He fosters slavery or indentured servitude. I mean, he accumulates and makes poor the entire population. The man is not a saint.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right here. I don't want us to get off topic. Okay, this is interesting. We got yes and yes. Pnina, what you said is right, and Jeff, what you said is right. Actually, I mean, that's both of those things come directly from the text. Here's the thing, okay? Yeah, because later on, what happens? They become. It's not the Israelites that become indentured servants. It's the Egyptian people, because after they go through all of the things that they've said, now they're like, now what are we going to do? All right, let's come back to this. Let's come back to how they got there in the first place. Okay, so we have that there's just famine. They're going to have to come down to get food, right? But Joseph names his kids, basically, I forgot about where I come from, but this new place where I live, not so bad. Basically, he names his two kids. I forgot where I came from, and this new place, not so bad. This supposed affliction, not so bad because I'm getting a lot of things. Okay, hold on, Penina, hold on, because I need to show us something else. Not only does he forget where he comes from, get ready for this one. Get ready for this one. All right. Now,
have you made a decision when you want to leave?
Yeah. Hold on, check this out. So now what has happened? The brothers have come down. Joseph recognizes his brothers. His brothers don't recognize him. Joseph starts putting them into tests, testing them to see if they feel bad for what they did to him, and then all these things. And now he's in the process of this test. Now Joseph gives his brothers this food. They still don't know that they're brothers, right? The brothers are talking to each other in front of Joseph, okay? Here's what the brothers are talking to each other in front of Joseph based on what's going on with one of their youngest brother and Joseph, trying to manipulate a situation just for his own, testing of them. But this is what's interesting. They said to one another, meaning the brothers, alas, we are being punished on account of our brother because we looked on at his anguish, yet paid no heed as he pleaded with us. That is why this distress has come upon us. They're referring to what they did to Joseph by throwing him in the hole. But here's the interesting part. Then Reuben spoke up and said to them, this is just the brothers talking to each other. Did I not tell you, do no wrong to the boy? But you paid no heed. Now comes the reckoning for his blood. This is just the brothers arguing back and forth. Get ready for this. Joseph is listening. They think he's an Egyptian. Okay. They did not know, they meaning his brothers, did not know that Joseph understood what the brothers were saying. But this is a very interesting next statement. Why did he understand, or how did he understand? For there was an interpreter between him and them. There was an interpreter between him and them, meaning there was another person who was interpreting what the brothers were saying and telling it to Joseph. Okay? Which means what? What does that mean?
Means that
what does that say about Joseph?
It means that someone understood Hebrew very well, who was living there.
And who was it who did not understand Hebrew very well?
It wasn't Joseph.
Joseph.
He forgot his language. Not only did he name his kid, I forget where I come from, and my new place is awesome. I got these two kids. One kid's name, I forget where I come from, and my other kid's name, this new place is awesome. He forgot his own language. He forgot the language that he was born with and that he spoke for umpteen years. Now he's just having such grand old time in Egypt. He forgot his own language. Needed an interpreter. Penina is not impressed. She is not happy today. Penina, go ahead. Okay. Get it off your chest.
The word Menashe, the name of the first son, means God removed me from my country. Not that I forgot where I come from. God removed me. Adonai nisha oti. God removed me. So he puts on the top the strength and the force of God that maneuvered what happened there. The word doesn't mean I forgot. It means I was removed. Nasha Adonai. He removed me.
Okay.
So the strength of God is showing there that moves the hands of what's happening. And the name Ephraim, yes, it means now it's all fruitful. So what happens if God is going to intervene again? And he did. He gave another famine. Here is the brothers coming. And the whole thing started to be put together. So
you let them off the hook so nicely, Penina.
He didn't forget.
You let them off. Well, he forgot his language. He needed an interpreter. It even says right here. Hamelitz, the interpreter. Right there, he needed an interpreter. You're being too kind. Oh, Claudia, go ahead. Thank you for raising your hand.
I think the underlying subtext is that he became completely assimilated. That's what they wanted to understand, because it really is not reasonable to think he forgot his language. He didn't live in Egypt that long, and he didn't leave, his homeland so young. They would have forgotten his language completely.
I agree.
So I think that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. Get ready for this next thing. Okay. Now. All right. How many years did we say that there's going to be famine? 7, right? 7 years of plenty, 7 years of famine. All right. That is a very important number. 7 years of famine. Okay. Let's check this out. So now we're going to be at the point where Joseph has actually revealed himself to his brothers. Everybody's like, oh my God. Like the brothers are like, oh no, we are in trouble. And he's like, no, I forgive you. This wasn't you. Check out what happens. Check out what happens. You ready for this? All right. He says, now do not be distressed. This is Joseph to his brothers. Do not be distressed or reproach yourselves because you sold me hither. It was to save life that God sent me ahead of you. It is now 2 years that there has been famine. Okay, so 2 years have been famine, all right? Which means there's only going to be another 5. Very important to take note of that. It is now 2 years that there has been famine in the land, and there are still 5 years to come in which there shall be no yield from tilling. God has sent me ahead of you to ensure your survival on earth and to save your lives in an extraordinary deliverance. So it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has made me a father to Pharaoh, lord of all his household, and ruler over the whole land of Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, thus says your son Joseph, God has made me lord of all Egypt. Come down to me without delay. He's saying, go back and get daddy. Bring him here, and you will dwell in the region of Goshen. You will dwell in the region of Goshen. It's the suburbs. It's like, and you will dwell in the region of Encino.
The most fruitful part. The most fruitful part.
Yeah, and that gets them in trouble, Pnina. Hold on, you'll see, right? You will dwell in the region of Goshen, where you will be near me. You and your children and your grandchildren, your flocks and herds, and all that is yours. There I will provide for you. For there are yet 5 years of famine to come, that you and your household and all that is yours may not suffer want. So he's saying, come on, come down here. Leave that promised land, schmamist land, Canaan, fit. The place is a dust bowl. You can't grow anything there. Your animals are going to all just shrivel up. Come to Goshen. Come to the suburbs. It's going to be awesome. Super fruitful. All right. What is he saying? What is Joseph saying to his brothers?
I'm going to save you.
Okay. I'm going to save you.
I forgive you is the most important part.
Okay, I forgive you. Fine. But he says to his brothers, come on down here. There's 5 years left. 5 years left of famine. Come hang out here in Goshen. Come to Encino. Gonna give you fabulous house, backyard, nice view, maybe a pool, extra bedroom that you can't get on the west side for the same price. It's true. Jacob.
He's saying that he's got like a pact with God, like he knows what's up. He's taking a lot of like he knows, taking ownership, ego maybe.
Yeah, okay, he knows that it's only gonna, and he also knows it's only gonna be for another 5 years. After that, it's gonna be good everywhere.
We cannot hear you.
What is he saying to them? What's it? You can't hear me?
We lost you for a second. Now you're on.
How about now?
You were on delay.
Yes, I was on. My internet connection is unstable. That's what it says. Yeah, come on down here. So what is he saying? Yeah, come for 5 years. And then we'll go back. Come for 5 years. Wait out the famine, and then you can go home. Say that, but that could be something that you think. Check this out. Get ready for this. Pnina, you might be able to relate to this. So my parents are from Israel. Okay, my parents are from Israel. They came here. I was born in 73. They came here in 1970. Okay, let's say they came here in 1970. And they came from my father's work. Yeah, we're just coming for a little bit. We're just coming for a little bit. We're going back. All of the people, all of my parents' Israeli friends. We're coming. We're going back. We're going back.
Yeah, sure.
That was 50 years ago, people. That was 50 years ago. Yeah, we're going back. We're going back. I forgot where I came from. This new place, pretty good. All right. Check this out. Does that sound familiar? Pnina, you know people like that, I'm sure. Right? My mom and dad were, yeah, we're going back. We're going back. That was 50 years ago. All right. Check this out. And now Pharaoh is even like, this is what you need to do. Because Pharaoh, since he was so close with Joseph, he was basically, when he found out that Joseph's family was in town, was like, wow, any family of Joseph is my family. Any family of Joseph, you guys got to come down here. That place where you live, this is where it's at. The news reached Pharaoh's palace, right? Joseph's brothers have come. Pharaoh and his courtiers were pleased, and Pharaoh said to Joseph, say to your brothers, do as follows, load up your beasts and go at once to the land of Canaan, take your father and your household and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you shall live off the fat of the land, right? You come on down here, do as I say, take from the land of Egypt wagons for your children and your wives, and bring your father here, and never mind your belongings. For the best of all the land of Egypt shall be yours. Just don't even pack up your stuff. Leave it. Hey, come on down. It's gonna be fabulous here. Oh, okay. This sounds pretty good. Okay. Now, Jacob hears about this, right, from the brothers and whatnot. And now he started to wrestle with this, right? And this is like one of the few times again where Jacob is referred to as Israel. Maybe there's some foreshadow here. Like, don't forget who you are. God called to Israel in a vision by night. Jacob, Jacob, he answered, here I am. And he said, I am God, the God of your father. Fear not to go down to Egypt, for I will make you there into a great nation. I myself will go down with you to Egypt, and I myself will also bring you back. And Joseph's hand shall close your eyes, right? And Joseph's hand shall close your eyes. Then Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, I will go up and tell the news to Pharaoh and say to him, my brothers and my father's household who were in the land of Canaan have come. All right, hold on. I'm not going to show you that next part. So, all right, now they're like, all right, we're going to go, because apparently this was God's plan all along to create all this bananas cuckoo-ness. And Jacob is feeling a little bit better about leaving the promised land that was promised to his grandfather, who's promised to his father, promised to him now, and he was supposed to promise this to his children. But they're making a choice to leave the promised land. And he's like, okay, God says God's going to be with me. We'll go down here. But he has no concept of what that means. He's going to be made a great nation, or how long it's going to take. These guys think that maybe we're just going for 5 years. We got a plan. We got a start date and an end date. We got a plan. Famine's going to be over in 5 years. We're going to be fine. We'll all come back. It's going to be great, right? And Pnina, what you said earlier was something very interesting. He's like, don't just rely on being a shepherd. Don't just rely on taking care of your cattle, right? Make sure you become farmers too. So here is what Joseph is telling his brothers to say to Pharaoh. My brothers and my father's household who were in the land of Canaan have come to me.
I never touched your stuff.
Yeah, Jeff, stop touching stuff. You were unmuted, dude. Quit touching other people's stuff. It's the 10th commandment. Don't covet stuff from other people. Check it out. My brothers and my father's household who were in the land of Canaan have come to me. The men are shepherds. They have always been breeders of livestock, and they have brought with them the flocks and herds, all that is theirs. Okay, but check this out. Check this out. So when Pharaoh summons you and asks, what is your occupation? You shall answer, your servants have been breeders of livestock from the start until now, both we and our fathers, so that you may stay in the region of Goshen. Or get ready for this. Go hang out in Goshen. This is the fruitful place where you can raise your cattle and everything like that. Become shepherds. Become this fabulous people living in Encino. How do people feel about shepherds? How do Egyptians feel about shepherds? All the shepherds are abhorrent to the Egyptians. Egyptians hate shepherds. He's setting them up. Tell them you're a shepherd. Egyptians hate shepherds. So they're going to love you guys. He's setting them up. You're telling me, right? We're celebrating this freedom, slavery, and everything like that. But it was God's plan all along. We're going to send them all there. They're going to multiply. I'm going to create all this famine. I'm going to mess with everybody. I'm going to even be like, hey, yeah, tell everybody you're a shepherd. Why? Egyptians hate shepherds. Yeah, that's really going to make them feel good about themselves. Even if you do try and assimilate, you're still going to be different. Why? Because you're a shepherd. We don't like shepherds. Right? Setting them up. All right. Get ready for some more stuff. So then he said, Joseph came and reported to Pharaoh, saying, my father and my brothers with their flocks and herds are all theirs, have come from the land of Canaan and are now in the region of Goshen. And selecting a few of his brothers, he presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? They answered, we are servants, we are shepherds, so like our fathers. We have come, they told Pharaoh, to sojourn in the land, for there is no pasture for your servants' flock, and famine being severe in the land of Canaan. Pray that you let your servants stay in the region of Goshen. Okay, this is it. He's just setting it up. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, as regards your father and your brothers who have come to you, the land of Egypt is open before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them stay in the region of Goshen. Let them just stay in the best of Egypt. We're giving it to people who aren't even from here. You know, it's like I've been a loyal customer of T-Mobile for years. Then all of a sudden, hey, if you're new, come on over to T-Mobile and I'm going to give you a brand new iPhone 12 Max, unlimited data and all that kind of stuff. For the new people, come, I'll give you this good stuff. But for all you loyal customers, all of you people who have been with T-Mobile, I don't care about you. Forget it. I don't know. Stick with your little iPhone 6 with no data and all that kind of stuff. I don't care. I don't care. But to the new people coming in, I'm going to give you something special. Come on down to the best part of Egypt. Israelites, come hang out here. Come be shepherds. Yeah, it's all right if they don't like you for that. It's all right. You can have the best part. Joseph then brought his father and presented him to Pharaoh, and Jacob greeted Pharaoh. All right. Let's keep going. We're going to check out something new. All right. Thus Israel settled in the country of Egypt, in the region of Goshen. They acquired holdings in it and were fertile and increased greatly. Jacob lived 17 years in the land of Egypt, so that the span of Jacob's life came to 147 years. How long did Jacob live in Egypt? 17 years. How long was there actually famine in the entire region? 5 years. He had 12 years. 12 years to say, you know what? We should go home to the promised land. the land that was given to us by God, the land given to Abraham and Sarah, the land given to Isaac and Rebekah, the land given to me and Rachel and Leah, and the land that I'm supposed to give to my family, to the brothers. And poor Dina, she gets, the shaft in this, but he had 12 years to say we should go back. But does he? No, he doesn't. Stays in Egypt. Cushy life. Right? All right, well then check out what happens. You ready for this? Jacob dies. Right? Jacob dies. And here's an interesting, it's a little tangent, but we have a little bit of time for it. So when Jacob dies, he dies with this feeling of like, did I do the right thing coming down here? Bringing all my children and their children and like leaving the promised land? Well, Joseph even forgot his own language. We got his great life here, but still I'm yearning for, my heart is in the East. And there's a beautiful midrash or a story about the Shema, of the second part, why we say the Shema quietly in the first part. So we say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, listen, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. And this is Jacob on his deathbed. And he's feeling these pangs of pain, like, did I make the wrong decision? And he's telling this to his sons, and his sons are like, don't worry. Yes, we are like here, we are assimilated, we're living down in Egypt, is great, but Shema, Yisrael, listen up, Israel, meaning Jacob. God is our God, and God is one. Don't worry, we still remember who we are. We may have forgotten some things, but we still know who we are. And then he answers why it's so quiet, the second part of the Shema, because it's like Jacob on his deathbed is just struggling to speak, so he's whispering, And then Jacob dies. Okay? Check out what happens. His sons, because Jacob always said to his sons, don't bury me in this place. Please take me back to be buried with my family in the land of Canaan. So they all go. His sons carried him to the land of Canaan, to the promised land, and buried him in the cave of the field of the Machpelah, the field near Mamre, which Abraham had bought for a burial site, right? After burying his father, okay? So they all went back to Canaan. All there. What did they do? After burying his father, Joseph returned to Egypt, he and his brothers, and all who had gone up with him to bury his father. They went back to Egypt. They no longer considered the land of Canaan as their home. They were done. They had moved to Egypt. They had assimilated, right? They had adopted these ways. Maybe they lived separately, but still adopting the ways. This is what they saw. We're going to be, cattle, we're going to be shepherds. They may not like it, but we're doing super well. We've got a great business, making a lot of money. We got our beautiful homes. We got a beautiful land and everything like that. We even went to bury our father back in the promised land. We see that it's no longer a famine. Okay. But it's not as great as where we are. So you know what? We're done with that place. We now live in Egypt. They had multiple opportunities to leave Egypt and go back home, but they chose not to. They had multiple opportunities to go back home. But they chose not to because they believed everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. I sound like an alarmist, don't I? I sound like an alarmist. I know I do. I know. But we need to take a look, right? We need to look at it a little bit bigger of a picture. It's not just that we were slaves and now we're free. We can't look at all of our stories, all of our holidays in a vacuum. right? We have to understand all the things that came before to kind of understand what's going on in the present, and then use that to look at what happens in the future, right? We got to look at it in its totality. We got to look at it in its totality, right? It's like that, there's a classic conversation about one of the Torah portions called Chaye Sarah, the life of Sarah, right? Abraham's wife. It's called Chaye Sarah, but it starts with Sarah's death. And everybody talks about, well, why is it called the life of Sarah if it ends with her death? Because a person is not a snapshot in their life. A person is the entire movie, right? From birth to death, and everything that came before that and everything that comes after it, right? To really look at who a person is, you need to look at it as in the totality of who they are. To really look at our story, we can't just look at it as a snapshot of holiday here, holiday there. We have to look at it as a continuum, look at the whole story in order to really kind of get this feeling. So, yes, we say that it was, we can use it in the passive language of there was a famine, they were slaves, they did these things happened. But as we can see, it's also about the choices that they made in their lives, right? It was also about the choices that they made in their lives, that how we ended up in the situation that we ended up in. I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying that it's not just God pulling the strings, at least not in my humble opinion, but it is also the choices that we make and how we kind of play with that relationship in the dancing, in that beautiful dance, in our covenant relationship with God. Go, Pnina, go. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Okay. The fact that they were different, it wasn't just because they were shepherds. It was in a land that believed in idols. The sun was their God. And Joseph, from the beginning, where he's talking about his son's name and everything, he puts God as always in the conversation. He did not forget who his God was, because he even named his son, God took me out of my land. So now these people that come to live in Egypt, we did not believe in the Egyptians' God. We were still Israelites. I don't care if we raised wheat or if we took care of sheep. The idea is that we were different because we were believing in this one God. And Joseph is the one who never forgot it. And what makes us different till today is who we believe in, the God that we believe in. The one God doesn't have any mortal children. All of us are his mortal children. All of us are holy because he's our God. And that makes us Jewish. Jews came from the land of Judea, okay? People who live in that one God. That's our difference. And that's how they were different. When they came out of there, they had to shed all this garbage with all these idols and come back to the source, get back to where you came from, the land that was promised Abraham, because he would believe in all those laws of Judaism. That was the reward. Israel was the reward. So,
well, Israel was the reward to whom? Because, right? But at the end of the day,
everybody, all his children.
But all those people who left Egypt, right? The million people that left Egypt, only 2 actually made it to the promised land. Only 2. Right. Caleb and Joshua. Everybody else, gone in the wilderness.
Because they had to learn.
Gone in the wilderness. So, it's very interesting to me. And then specifically when we talk about Hebrew, the language of Hebrew, right? When we say, well, it's not my language, right? I speak English. And we talk about when I'm working with bar mitzvah kids, and when we talk about the service and whatnot, we say it's not my language. Hebrew's not my language. English is my language. I said, well, actually, both are your language. You just happen not to know one of the languages that is yours, right? Because of we may forget, or we didn't learn it as well, or speaking. But the point being like you were saying, Pnina, we can't forget. It all belongs to us, right? Whether we come to it by birth, whether we come to it by choice, right? I think what this story actually proves that it's really all by choice, right? That we are all Jews by choice. We're all Jews by choice. We choose to follow commandments. We choose to learn Torah. We choose to learn Hebrew. We choose to learn about our holidays. We choose to come to Torah study. We choose, right? All of you are making this choice. We are all Jews by choice, living in the world that we live in, right? So I want us to also understand that we have an active role in what happens to us, right? We have choices to help to what happens to us. That we are, and this is quite strong, we are active creators of our own redemption, right? That we are active creators of our own redemption. We can't be passive receivers of all of this, because if that's the case, we will lose. We will lose. Jeff. You're muted.
Sorry. Just the extension of what you're saying is we only have control over half the puzzle. And by that, I mean, yes, we have choice, but we have no influence on the consequences. And where and who are responsible for the consequences? Do you ascribe that to God? Do you ascribe that to chance or fate? But the idea is we only have half value, so to speak. If the religion gives us choices and we are then responsible for the consequences, who determines that? Who determines how you see the actions that follow your choices? That's the difficulty of understanding where the consequences come from. If you're an ultra-religious person, you ascribe it to God and breaking the laws or your choices. But if you're not quite that from, you have a difficult decision to make as to where these consequences come from.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think I don't look at it so binary, right? I think that's where, living in, since I don't live in a vacuum, that all my choices affect you, your choices affect me. And even that, it's like the most intricate and detailed spider web where it's all connected. Oy, 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 Daphne, who's this joining us? Look at this beautiful thing. Look at those. Give me some of those cheeks. Delicious.
I know you're not talking about me.
No, Jeff. Oy, 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 oy. Come on. Loba said. Yeah. This is being recorded, Jeff. Take it easy.
Sorry.
So I that we are in relationship, that it's all connected. It's right. I don't look at it as like 50%, 50%, because for me, it's not a binary thing. All right. Yes. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Oh no. Okay. So check this out.
I think it's
go Merle, and then I'm going to end on a point.
I think it's a matter of how we choose to live. That I believe we are, it's like we tell our children, tell our grandchildren, if we're the responsible party, they say they want to do something, and we'll say, you may think of what you're doing before you do it, and how will it affect others. And that's how we raise our children. That's how we live our lives. And I think that's why we as Jews choose to live the way we do and do what we do for the rest of the community, our own community, and the rest of the community when we can.
Beautiful. Thank you. So now check this out. Here's what I'm going to end with. Oh, good. Daphne, go ahead.
You're muted.
She's working on it. She's got her hands full.
Yeah, I know.
You're still muted, Daphne.
Okay, There we go. This is baby Avi. I don't know if you heard what I had said a second ago. He's very interested in the point that you made about returning to the land of Israel to bury Jacob and then returning to Egypt after that. And so on the topic of the prophecy of slavery and deliverance, and on the topic of free will, how does that return to the land of Egypt by choice play into the larger story? Because it seems that if the brothers had selected to stay in Israel and stay in the land promised by God, then the whole story of Exodus that we know of would never have happened. They would not have been slaves. They would not have needed to depart from Egypt. So is the idea that they didn't have the free choice to stay in Israel, that was just part of the bigger plan?
Right? All is foreseen, yet free will is given. Daphne, you ask such a question at 12:01.
Life is full of unexpected things.
Sodeket, nachon. Okay, you're right. At 12:01. But that's actually the question we're gonna have to leave on, because I'm gonna go hang out with some nursery school kids now. I mean, you guys are bananas. I'm seriously gotta go run nursery school kids right now, and that's what you leave me with. And that amazing.
All right, we'll think about it.
Well, I think about it all the time. Anyway, okay. Wonderful job, everybody. Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover to everybody. You are all so fabulous. Wonderful to see you.
Enjoy Passover.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Continue.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Question at the end of the day. All right, bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.